Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Wowhead Weekly number 51. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today, and I would like to just get right into it. So first and foremost, I want to introduce my lovely co-host, Wowhead site manager, Perculia.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I know the show's a day late, but awesome. Thanks for your support. And we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about, like the Battleground bonus event and a cool Darkmoon Fair seesaw and merchandise. So let's get right into the bonus event.
Yeah, better late than never, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
What are you going to do? Of course, the Battleground bonus event is going on right now. It started on September 9th, and it'll run through September 14th. Just as a reminder, those bonus events now go from Wednesday to Monday.
Yeah, like Wednesday at midnight until Monday.
Yeah, Wednesday to Monday. So, and there's all sorts of bonus things going on for this. You're going to get 200% additional honor gains. If you win your 4 Battleground quests, you will get 500 conquest points. And then there's also the regular rewards for doing BGs, which is if you win random BG, your first one of the day will reward you conquest points as well as a gold strong box, which can include gold, honor, or a piece of gear. And then after that, every BG that you win that's a bonus random BG, you'll get additional honor.
Yeah, and if you don't really PvP and you're like, what's up with honor and conquest, the PvP gear is actually pretty good to use if you're on a fresh character and you need your eye level higher.
Yeah.
The honor gear is like eye level 670. The conquest gear is eye level 700, and it scales up higher in PvP combat.
Yep.
And if you're like, oh, my eye level's high, there's a lot of really cool old sets that cost honor that are really nice for transmog.
Absolutely.
So,
there's a lot of good transmog gear for honor. So there's a lot of stuff. Plus you can get the mounts if you don't have them. It's worth, I guess. And it might actually be easier this time around because mercenary mode is now in the game.
Yeah.
And if you aren't aware of what mercenary mode is, it's this new thing that allows you to queue up as basically a member of the opposite faction in order to like skip long queue times if you're on an imbalanced battle group. You can talk to a recruiting agent in Storm Shield or War Spear, and there are separate recruiters for Ashran or other BGs, so make sure that you're talking to the right one.
Yeah.
Once you talk to them, you will get a 30-minute contract allowing you to queue up for Ashran or unrated BGs as the opposite faction. It is worth noting that the Ashran recruiter will automatically queue you up, whereas the other BG recruiter, you'll have to queue yourself up because they don't know which one you want to do. And your race will be automatically changed once you enter Ashran or your other BG. And what's kind of cool about this is that your teammates don't know. Like, you see a buff on yourself that says that you've been transformed.
Like, oh, that person's secretly alliance. They're I'm not going to heal
they don't
them.
know, which I thought was pretty cool that I didn't realize that your teammates wouldn't know that you were a mercenary. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's also good to note that you your race automatically changes, but it's really hard to map out what race you're going to be. It depends on like your class and race combination.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh, I want to queue up as Horde, but only like an undead. You can't.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. We don't have the technology. Also going on right now is I look really, really pale today. I don't know what's going on with the light. I think it's because it's raining outside. I keep looking at my camera like, holy crap, I'm like see-through. It's like pouring rain outside, so I have no natural light whatsoever. So I only have like my studio lights, and man, oh man, they're not doing positive things for my skin complexion. Also going on right now outside of the bonus Battleground event is the Darkmoon Fair, which will end tomorrow, which is Sunday the 13th. But we really wanted to talk about this.
It's so cute.
If for no other reason, because of this toy.
Yep. So, a little cute video we made of it.
Look at it. So this only costs 50 tickets, and it will allow you to play on the seesaw with a friend or solo, and it'll also give you a childlike wonder buff that will shrink you for 30 minutes even after you get off the seesaw. What's really cool about the Darkmoon seesaw is that it has a 3-minute duration and also a 3-minute cooldown, so you can just kind of chain use it if you want to, and you can use it in raids, which has been a huge complaint of a lot of other toys lately, that you can't use them in raids, which is when a lot of people spend a lot of time standing around organizing things.
Yeah.
So
one more note on the seesaw. The ogre in that video is Lunk, who, if you do a questline in Searing Gorge, he's a pacifist ogre, and he doesn't want to kill anyone. So he'll sometimes, like, jump on them, and he doesn't understand why people die. So it's sort of fitting that he is the ogre. He is the person that likes playing on the seesaw.
Yeah.
So, if you don't know where he's from, just do the quest line close to Blackrock Mountain in Searing Gorge, and you'll find him. He like escorts you around.
Yeah, he's super fun. There's some other stuff that is worth mentioning at the Dark Moon Fair as well. If you are still working on your Draenor Pathfinder achievement, you can get a Dark Moon top hat, which will give you 10% additional reputation for 1 hour, and it'll cost you 10 prize tickets. You can also ride the Dark Moon Carousel for 10% additional reputation, and that lasts until you die. These don't stack with each other, but they do stack with the trading post reputation buff. So if you're still working on
that's 20%. So it's like 20% and then the 10%, and that can really add up.
It's a lot. So if you are still working on that, that is worth talking about. Again, that'll go until just tomorrow. So you have today and tomorrow if you are interested.
Yeah, and besides that, there's like, mounts you can get, and there's, lots of toys now and pets. So, with the new mount and pet achievements in the game, mount and toy achievements, you might want to think about getting some more things from the Dark Moon Fair just to add +1 to your totals.
Oh, yeah. What's funny is when I went to get the Dark Moon Seesaw, Perk was like, oh, check all of your characters for tickets, right? I go on my characters. 2 of my characters had enough for the mounts, and I didn't have either of the mounts. Like, what is that?
Wow.
I think I was saving up for them and didn't realize that I had enough. You know what I mean? Like, I think at one point I was, like, stockpiling and just didn't realize that I was there. So I was really excited. So I got the Dark Moon Seesaw, and I got the Dark Moon Dancing Bear, and I got the Dark Moon Flamingo guy.
Yeah, that reminds me, one more thing we should say about the fair, because you were like, how do I buy the Seesaw, is that there's this one-time quest you can do on each character that gives you 100 tokens, and you have to fish up 100 of the fish at the Dark Moon Fair.
Yeah, the Dark Moon Dagger Maw.
Yeah, you have to turn 100 into Galissa at the docks, like the fishing area, and then she gives you this map where you travel around the fair, and the last treasure you find, you get the 100 tickets from. And it's
sort of like a hidden quest too, because until you buy the actual treasure map, you don't know that you're going to get 100 tickets out of it. So it's definitely worth checking out, and you can do it on multiple characters. And you also do not have to be level 100 to do it. So
so do that on all your alts, and they can buy stuff that's account wide, so all of your characters.
And fishing up 100 Dark Moon Dagger Maw takes no time at all, like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it's
also
quick.
Really good for leveling professions.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's all sorts of reasons. Plus Blorp. Blorp.
I mean, Blorp is 50. Wait, he's 50, right?
Blorp is 50 because he can't battle.
So you could totally get Blorp and the Seesaw if you do that quest.
Absolutely. And that's so worth it. So anyways, we have a bunch of merch stuff to talk about as well. The first one isn't super Wowhead related, but I wanted to talk about it because it's Hearthstone related. This month Loot Crate is summon themed, and there will be a Hearthstone item, also a Supernatural and Pokemon item if you're interested. This is the first officially licensed Blizzard item in a Loot Crate. If you want to see what's in there and to get it for yourself, you have to sign up before the 19th, and you can get 10% off by using my code, which is code TradeChat. Also, we still have some stuff going on with Jinx. Through the end of September, you can get 25% off any t-shirt at Jinx, even if it's not WoW or Blizzard or whatever. Any t-shirt is 25% off with code WOWHEAD. And we also...
One more thing about Jinx. I've gotten lots of questions about this. So the cute Arthas t-shirt... You find him by looking under Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
WoW on Jinx.
Yeah, and that's the one at the very beginning. You'll see a guy wearing it with like the blue outline. You can actually sort them by Blizzard as opposed to just WoW or whatever. And if you're looking specifically for Arthas, you can search Arthas in the chat box and it should come up as well. But you can even go on Jinx and you can sort it by t-shirt so that you can just see anything that would qualify for this coupon. Because some of them are like long sleeve or like 3/4 and they're not
or like tank tops.
Yeah, or like tank tops also count towards this. So if you like t-shirts and that kind of stuff, this is a great time to get it. 25% off is a pretty generous coupon. So thank you, Jinx, for providing us with that. And then Senpai Blizzard also gave us a 10% off code that you can use at the Blizzard Gear shop. Of course, they have all of the new wall hangs. There's attire like t-shirts, but there's also like scarves. They have that new Hearthstone journal. They have the Stitches plushie that comes with the in-game skin bikini Stitches. And you can get 10% off of almost anything in the Blizzard Gear shop through the end of September using code WOWHEAD10. I think the only things that don't qualify for the 10% off are like the really expensive statues and the really expensive collectible stuff.
And the goodie bag.
Yeah, but that's because that's limited quantity. But yeah, so we have all of those codes floating around.
You can get the plushies in the background.
Yep. You have so many of them. I'm pretty sure that this little guy is available on the Blizzard store too. This little little Murloc guy.
Yeah, the Funkos are there.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're into like merchandising and stuff like if you're into like collecting merchandise and stuff like that, we have just all sorts of codes for you guys so you can get discounts. And we wanted to share them. And now, on to what everybody's waiting for. Let's be honest. We have some new Legion news. Legion news hype. I'm going to let Perk talk a little bit about the first part, and then I'll talk about the art stuff afterwards. Sound good?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so a new Legion interview from Gamescom was posted. It was, Gamescom is a few weeks ago, but the interviews are still coming in. And Game Reactor interviewed game director Tom Chilton and lead game designer Ian Hazzikostas, and most information they covered was previously known, such as, artifacts and the level cap being 110. But they had a few interesting new tidbits, and one of them was that Warlords of Draenor, they felt, had a great launch as far as getting people back to the game, but they want to focus on making more content with long-term staying power, so, retaining those players, for 7.1, 7.2, getting them to stay beyond that initial, burst around the expansion. They also said they want to make quality expansions, but they don't want people to wait when they're hungry for content and, go into overdrive with quality control, and then people are waiting even longer and won't, appreciate all the extra polish going on. And this was the thing I thought was really interesting. They said the idea for Legion started around 2 to 3 years ago, and the Warcraft team actually debated which expansion would come first, Warlords or Legion. And that's sort of interesting because it's how do you picture that together? And they said that over time the team was trying to tie the expansions together, so you have like Garrosh and Siege of Orgrimmar, who's then in Warlords, and Gul'dan and Hellfire Citadel, who's going to be in Legion, and then, be the end boss in one of the new raids. So, yeah, what do you think? Like, do you think it would have been cooler if Legion followed Mist, or...
I just can't imagine how that would have worked. I mean, because the lead in from Mist of Pandaria to Warlords of Draenor was that Garrosh, escaped through this portal, and that's how we got there, because we were chasing him in. So I'm more so curious of how the story would have progressed, and if maybe a lot of people didn't care for that story arc of Garrosh to Warlords of Draenor and thought that
and he got killed off really quickly.
Yeah, it was a little lackluster, and it almost is very telling of why that felt a little lackluster, because that wasn't the main, it's weird, the main point of the last 2 expansions, the current one that we're in and Mist of Pandaria, is to get to Legion. So it's how much of these expansions were set up for whatever is going to happen next, and it's just interesting to me. I'm not mad about it. I'm certainly not upset about it or anything, but it explains a lot. It explains a lot that that's where they were going the whole time.
Yeah. I think that the order does make sense, because it feels that Warlords, they wanted to have this sort of amped up Garrison idea, and Legion was sort of taking Garrison tech and, toning it back and making it more like stuff that you would do as a player. So, I like the story of Legion better, less orcs and whatnot, so I'm sort of glad that all the Garrison bugs got ironed out in Warlords, so the cooler concepts in Legion could...
Yeah. I almost wonder if that's part of the reason that Mist of Pandaria did end up coming before Warlords of Draenor, because maybe they hadn't gotten the Garrison tech where it needed to be in order to have a Garrison in Mist of Pandaria. I wonder how far back that conceptual design goes.
Yeah.
Because Half Hill kind of had was the
that was
baby
the prototype.
Steps, you know what I mean?
I think they've said that publicly too. They're like, we just took that idea and really expanded.
I really liked the farm in Half Hill better than the farm in Garrison.
What's gonna happen to Dog? Is Dog? He came from the Tillers and now he's in your herb garden. He's gonna be in your class hall.
I
hope
so.
Yeah.
I hope maybe he'll just run around Dalaran. That would be really cute, because then everyone would.
Oh,
see
he can be
him.
in the pet area, where Brianna
Yes.
is. Maybe you could get a dog pet. Oh, that'd be so cute.
This
Again,
is a
we're
great
just
idea.
going back to
Blizzard.
pet
Are you
signals.
listening?
Yeah.
So we also found out from Chris Robinson, who is the senior art director at Blizzard. He announced that he's going to be a panelist at Trojan Horse Was a Unicorn, which is a ridiculous name for, it's kind of like Burning Man meets TED, but then it's specifically for artists and creators. Yeah. It really sounds like a great time. I wish I could go to that, because it's just
it
a
sounds
bunch
awesome.
of ridiculously talented, I don't know. I would just want to go. And when he made this announcement, he updated his bio page with a bunch of past Blizzard art, as well as this baby. Look at that.
That's so cool.
Is that the Demon Hunter crest perk? What do you think?
Yeah. I think so.
I think it is, too.
They've done these crests for past classes, which you can see if you visit our, class hub on wowhead.com/classes. And yeah, I mean, you've got the sort of like fell warglaives, you've got the evil crystals,
skull.
you've got the cursed vision.
Yeah.
Like even that triangle thing looks like the belt they've been wearing in the character previews. So you've got the horns.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is an awesome class crest too. It's really, really, really cool. I can't. Ooh, hey, didn't mean to do that. I am so excited for Legion. I don't even really know how to express my feelings because there's just so many things coming in Legion that I can't wait for. Like, and it's funny because a lot of people are really excited about Demon Hunters, but I'm so excited to find out what adventure mode is. I'm so excited for class halls. I'm so excited for Dalaran. I realized the other day when me and one of my guildies were going back and running old raids for mounts, which I totally got Experiment 12B. Are you excited?
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah.
I'm right now 4 away from my 300 mount total, so I'm like...
Oh my god. You have a lot more than me.
Soul.
I think I have... Yeah. Is there one for 250? Because I think I'm at like 246 or 247.
It's the Fellfire Hawk. It's very
weird. That's awesome. Now I care more. Now I care more. But when we were doing that, we had to go to Dalaran a couple times because we were going to various... Like, we did ICC and we did Ulduar, And I was like, this is really one of the big, if you look at where the big decline in WoW happened, it was after Wrath of the Lich King. And if you think about it, like prior to that, like Vanilla was kind of the start of all WoW, and you had, Orgrimmar and Stormwind. And then in Burning Crusade, WoW started to get really popular, and you had Shattrath where everybody could see each other. Right. And like there were the two tiers, but there wasn't, you know what I mean? Like everybody could see each other. And then Dalaran, which
and you had to go to the central area.
Yeah, and you had to go to the central area. And then Dalaran was, everybody was always in Dalaran, either like doing stuff in the sewers or like fishing from the well or just like hanging
like the Algalon
out.
RP.
And like just showing off their mounts and showing off their gear. And it was so cool because you could inspect the opposite faction. And then it felt much more isolated when they moved us back to our own home cities because for 2 expansions we were really spoiled, and it kind of, I don't know, it was this really cool feeling of the game of being able to see each other. And then, even Mists of Pandaria, the city was even less important. Like, you had to still go to Orgrimmar if you wanted to do a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But I do think that it was, at least with Mist, there was, the cities looked awesome.
Yeah.
So I think at least that was a right step as opposed to Cataclysm where everyone was scattered in, like, 4 different cities and they were the same old cities. So I think Mist was a step in the right direction, and especially if you look at something like Stormshield where it's like, okay, we're kind of a bunch of muddy huts outside of Ashran and not very, expensive looking.
There. People just go there to get their rerolls or to go for Ashran, but other than that, you don't see people just hanging out in Stormshield or Warspear. Yeah. So I'm really unbelievably excited just for Dalaran. What's funny is I bought Jaina's locket on the auction house. With the hope that maybe, because, I don't know, maybe it will work for the new Dalaran, in which case I got a great deal. If it doesn't, that's okay, but...
I mean, I also wrote this article on Dalaran when one of the designers was asking, what sort of crazy update in Dalaran do you want to see based on old Dalaran, like, the pet shop exploding and having another famous character take it over. So I wrote this thing for people that missed Dalaran that started playing after Wrath, and I was all like, there's just these cool NPCs walking around, there's this, Easter egg where if you dance with this one night elf, she dances back, there's like a toy shop that you buy toys from, there's all these little things that aren't really tied to, I need to go here to get my seal that's mandatory. It's just a lot of cool flavor things you can explore.
I really loved the way profession buildings were in Dalaran as well. Like, there was that one little, like...
They were so expressive, like...
Cubby,
The herbalism. It was a greenhouse, and alchemy actually was a bubbling vial, and jewel crafting was actually,
and the
Tiffany's or something.
Engineering had the big gear thing that, like, spun around outside. I just thought Dalaran was an amazing city. Like, if I could live anywhere on World of Warcraft, I would love to, like, live in a little Dalaran apartment. That would be great. Plus, you still had a lot of convenience to the city, too. Like you said, it wasn't like it wasn't just like, oh, I have to go here to get my seals or my gear or whatever. But there was still all these fun things. But then there was portals to all the other cities, and there was a banker, and it was the best.
Yeah,
Dalaran is
I just
the
like when they
best.
just put stuff in for fun where it's not like, oh, you have to now talk to this person to get an achievement. And
And there was some of that because you could get a lot of the higher reading. There was a couple of the higher reading.
Oh yeah,
stuff was
definitely.
there.
I just meant it's nice when there's just things that players can do for fun as opposed to feeling that the city is like they're mandatory thing that they're forced to do. And
yeah, people were all about fishing in the the well. People were all about that. I remember when I got hacked in Wrath of the Lich King. I spent the entire time leveling up my fishing in the Dalaran sewers.
Yeah, fishing was awesome in Dalaran because, like, you had the coins in the little area. You had that, if you went into the sewers, you had different fish. If you
the
went
magical
by the prison,
eaters.
Yeah, if you went to the prison, you had, like, the utensils and, like, knives that you would stab people with. And the magical eaters could transform you into things. Like, all those little details. Like, did they have to have different fish in their different areas? No, but it just was cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Dalaran again. I'm really, really, really excited for that. But anyways, moving on. Speaking of new stuff that isn't Dalaran, I'm going to flip it over to Perk to talk about some new stuff that's going on Wowhead.
Yeah, awesome. So one of the cool things that's actually right at the top of the front page is that we have a database portal page now. The database is a big part of Wowhead, and we always just had a search box on the site with the old and the new layout, but we decided to give it its own portal page so you can navigate the different parts easily instead of, going through all these menus. So it's at wowhead.com/database. Or if you're using the navigation menu, instead of just mousing over the word database, you can click on it now, and it takes you to a page, which I think makes a lot more sense. So what you see on this page is basically a site map, which lays out all the different parts of the database. You can see all the categories and highlight some, important subcategories, like all the character achievements or the battle pet types, like aquatic, or all the holidays and recurring weekly events. We also highlighted some user contributions better, so there's an area for the latest screenshots, latest comments, popular pages, and you'll also find links to popular filters like new toys or new mounts in a patch, and we figured that if you use the database a lot, this can save you some time. And if you're not familiar with the database and you think that, if you just access the database from typing something in the top right in that search box, this can help you use it more. You can be like, oh, this is what a filter looks like. I'll tweak it a little now. Now I know what a filter is. It's not scary. Or you'll say, hey, I didn't scroll through 4 menus before, but now that it's all laid out, hey, I didn't know that they had all these different quest categories before. I'll check this out now that it's just all in one place. So, it just was a lot of little design tweaks that we did, and we're pretty happy with that page, and, we hope it's functional, and if you want to see anything else on that page, let us know, and we can tweak it pretty easily. So, that was not the only thing. The other thing we did was charts, which we mentioned a little bit last week, but this week we actually put it in action because we featured charts for the Darkmoon Fair and Battlegrounds in our guides and news posts. And I think it's just really interesting because charts are based on data from Wowhead user profiles, and you can just see a lot of trends, some things that are surprising that you wouldn't really assume. I thought this was really interesting for the Darkmoon Fair. We are showing the charts for popular toys, and the most popular toy collected by Wowhead users are Blazing Wings, and then that's followed by the Flimsy Balloon. And you're like, oh, the Flimsy Balloon is much easier to get than the Blazing Wings, but it looks pretty boring compared to the wings, so maybe that's why more people have the wings. So I just think stuff like that's pretty interesting to see. And right now the Seesaw is the least popular because it's new. And unsurprisingly, besides the Seesaw, all of the racing toys are the least popular because the racing games are pretty hard to get. And
the racing games are super hard to get.
Yeah. So you can be like, oh, you can look at it and be like, oh, this race is the easiest, and unsurprisingly, most people have the Fire Eaters file. But yeah, also we did pets, and the most popular pets are the Glowfly, Cub, and Monkey, and the least popular are the Racing Mini Zap, again, the racing game.
Those are all the ones from the Darkmoon Fair, right?
Yeah, and then you also have the Darkmoon Rabbit, and it's interesting because you're like, oh, the rabbit has a really rare drop rate, but it's still more popular than the Mini Zap.
Aw, that's kind of sad. The poor Mini Zap. I'm gonna, I don't think I have the Mini Zap. No, I think I have all the Darkmoon Fair pets. I recently got the rabbit. Thank you to Brandy who sent me that after saying.
Oh, awesome.
I said in one of the Wowhead weeklies, I was like, I don't have that yet, and she sent it to me. But so charts are pretty cool. You'll see them pop up more often on Wowhead guides, and we update the profiles every week at wowhead.com/list if you're interested in seeing any of that. Users cannot generate their own charts yet, but they will be able to possibly in the future. So if that's a feature that you're interested in, just let everybody at Wowhead know. And if there's ever a chart that you specifically want to see, just leave a comment or something and they can come up with it pretty easy. Now, because I'm me, I'm obviously very excited to talk about these cookies. So Wowhead's Dungeon and Raid guide writer, Diani, is also a really talented baker. Look at these Gorefiend cookies that she made. Her and her guild downed Gorefiend on Mythic. And to celebrate, she made these cookies, and they are amazing. She used all of Wowhead's models to reference like the teeth and the colors, and the cookies kind of represent his stomach, but I think that's pretty obvious when you see them next to each other. And of course you can check out her guides on Wowhead. She's also Diani on Twitter, so very cool. And let's do a drum roll. Are you ready, Perk?
1 second.
Okay.
It's being silly and it's logging me in as Perk, not Wowhead. I can paste you the password to see if it lets you in. But right now, we'll just
sit here and hang out at these. We have to announce the winner of the virtual ticket. So we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties right now, but that's okay because we all just want to look at these cookies. Who doesn't want to look at these cookies? I know, I see that someone just pointed out in chat that my camera keeps going out of focus. I had gotten that all fixed on my old computer, and then when I got on this computer, I forgot to turn autofocus off on my XSplit. I totally forgot. I'll do that after that. I can't change it while I'm streaming, but I will change it soon. So I'm pretty excited for who's going to win this. I don't know who it is yet, obviously, because Perk's picking the winner right now. We're using a website that actually chooses.
It's a different browser. I think it's going to work now.
It's cool. There's this website. It's called Twitrand, and you sign in under your Twitter name, and then you can select a hashtag, and it will pick a random person who follows you and who has tweeted with that hashtag as the winner, so that you guys know everything's all fair for that giveaway. And of course, this is for our 50th episode of Wowhead Weekly Giveaway. We're giving away a virtual ticket, which will also give that person access to purchase a goodie bag if they so choose.
Yep.
Just waiting for Perk. I'm killing time.
Waiting
for Perk.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I can do this all day. My job is to talk to myself. And like, if it gets bad, I'll have a snack, which I conveniently have sitting at my desk. My desk is kind of dirty. I just realized that. I should probably clean my desk before these things. Is that normal to have a Popstar Pikachu on your desk? I think it is. Isn't this adorable? Guys?
Okay, I think I have a winner.
Ooh, all right. I'm excited. Drum roll, please.
Okay.
It
is Tivali Plays.
Tivali Plays. We'll go ahead and tag you on Twitter too, just so that you know.
Yeah.
And Perk will DM you, and you will get a virtual ticket key. So thank you so much to everybody who entered our giveaway. I saw some great Say Anythings too.
Yeah, I saw a lot of funny ones. And yeah, that was really exciting. 50 is a big milestone for the show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then it figures episode 51 is late. Doing good.
Yeah, you're like, oh, well, let's not do it this week. And I'm like, no, we have the winner.
I didn't say let's not do it. I said we had options, okay? Sheesh.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, right now is a good time to ask us. I'm going to go ahead and waste a little time I should have asked for questions while I was wasting time earlier. I'm a terrible time waster. But while we're waiting for questions to come in, I just want to thank anybody who has subscribed to Wowhead Weekly. That really supports the show. Plus, you get use of our emotes. Thank you so much. If you want to follow us to make sure that you never miss a podcast, you can either subscribe to us or you can click the follow button to get email notifications. Thank you to everybody who subscribes to us on YouTube, and most of all, thank you to anybody who subscribes to Wowhead Premium, which turns off all the ads on Wowhead and also gives you a bunch of perks on the website, like being able to track quests or reorganize your Today in Draenor, and you get a special color when you talk on the forums.
Yeah.
So thanks for all those things. Someone said that they got their legendary ring today. Congratulations, Cricket Juice.
Yeah.
There's someone in my guild who has been done with the tome part of that for like 2 weeks and keeps failing the shipyard mission.
That is really sad.
I haven't quite figured out the logic between the shipyard being tied in to the legendary ring.
There used to be these data mine quests where you would actually have to go and do something. Like, I actually just hid them in the database recently, but they weren't, I don't think they originally weren't shipyard missions. They were like, oh, here's a quest tied to, like, doing something, and I don't know. So, things changed over time. Maybe they just figured that if the shipyard was a new way to do tech, they should do something to make sure that people had to do something with the shipyard.
Right? I mean, I get it, but then, like, part of me still feels...
It is pretty random. Like, I don't know, like, it's just... I don't really picture Gul'dan with naval threats.
The whole shipyard in general, like, I see where they were going with it, but then, like, it
feels like an experiment.
Yeah.
Like, they were trying to do something, they wanted to, like, take the garrison tech and see what it could do in a different context, but it just, yeah. I know it didn't really work out.
We got a question from Viewers United. It says flying is now a thing in Draenor. Do you think Blizzard will be changing the spawn times on world bosses? I don't think there's any plans for that, but it's kind of a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I actually tried to get into that recently to look up different mounts and stuff. And yeah, I mean, like, into there, like, you do see people being able to fly to something is good because it means you can get there faster, but it just means that there's more people all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not sure. Like, they didn't really change. I don't know if they changed the rate of, like, world rares and stuff.
Yeah.
When, like, in old zones, when, like, cross-realm stuff happens. So, I don't know if they'll change anything. I feel like if there was a huge issue where, like...
Yeah,
if people, like, couldn't get something done and it was, like, mandatory for achievement, they would change it. But I think right now they'll say, oh, if it's not up on your server, you can... hop and see if it's up on Group Finder, so you have, pretty much, like, endless options of seeing if something is up.
Yeah, that's true. With Group Finder, it does really open up a whole nother possibility sort of thing. Well, it looks like everybody's kind of just chit-chatting, and we didn't get too many questions this week. Oh, here's a good one. Do you think Blizzard will give us more Legion info every couple weeks, or do you think from here on out we'll have to wait till BlizzCon?
So, I thought it was weird how that interview from Gamescom was posted in September, and I double-checked the date. I'm like, wait, is this just an interview that people didn't know about? That, that just surfaced? But it was, like, September 8th or September 9th. So, I don't think that we're going to get more information from Blizzard until BlizzCon, but,
is Blizzard
who knows?
Going to be at New York Comic Con?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe there'd be toy stuff there.
I'm going to be at New York Comic Con.
Oh, so...
I'll let you know.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'll let you know. I agree,
there could
though.
Be merch stuff.
I agree with Perk, though. I think from here on out, the only thing I think the Dragon Con thing was really spur of the moment, and I don't think it was, like... I don't know, it wasn't
like what other people were saying. They were like, hey, like, these are just tweets. They're not, like, gospel. Like, don't, like, just don't don't take everything literally at face value because you didn't hear it from the
but adventure
directly.
mode.
I know, that was...
I really want it to be a thing.
Yeah, I sort of get the sense that not a lot of people knew what was going on because it just sort of seemed very impromptu and...
Well, normally when they do...
Like, on Warcraft social media, they weren't like, so-and-so's gonna talk at Dragon Con. It was very...
Yeah, and normally they would, like, stream that or at least have someone in charge of, like, transcripting. I really feel like it was very spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Someone wanted to know how my cat Arthas is doing. He's great. That wasn't the one that was just meowing for no reason. Do we have any clue what adventure mode is? No. We don't even know that adventure mode is really going to be a thing. Adventure mode was one of the things that was briefly mentioned at Dragon Con. And since Dragon Con was very spur of the moment, I don't know how much we know about that or if it's actually going to be in the final build of Legion.
Yeah. It's just a cool thing from Reaper of Souls in Diablo where basically you can go back and replay different zones, at different difficulties. So, if you're like, you can be like Torment 10 or something, can be like, much harder, things hit harder. And if you do a bunch of them, then you get these items where you can go to a special area that's awesome for loot. So, I mean, that's what currently adventure mode means. I don't know how that's going to translate to WoW, if that's even going to be a thing in WoW.
It better be a thing. I'm so excited about it. Someone wanted to know.
It could be a thing.
It could be.
Maybe everyone's just like, oh my god, Diablo's awesome. We should put everything Diablo in WoW.
Yes.
Maybe just Diablo was on his mind.
I'm okay with it. Someone asked if you could bring one feature back from a past expansion, what would it be?
Ooh.
I liked the way that old heroic used to work in raids. Like, as opposed to a normal and heroic difficulty, I liked that you had to do something to activate hard mode.
Oh, like Ulduar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my thing, I was gonna say that I liked how holidays used to get major updates each year, but it seems like they're trying to do that again, so I guess that's coming back. Yeah, like, it was really dead for a few years.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a lull there.
Yeah.
I agree. I do miss the old talent trees. I really do.
Yeah. I would probably just say, like, talent trees or holidays.
And I know people say that, like, the reason they changed talent trees is they didn't want things to be mandatory, but I feel like we just have a different set of mandatory things now.
Yeah. I feel like there could be more things, I feel like if you just put the talent trees back now, they would be, like, too complex and people would like freak out, but
yeah, no.
I don't know, there was like some charm in feeling like, you know, this was like an individual thing that you were doing. If we're talking about like content, I would love to see, I like some of the old zones, especially in Kalimdor. Like, I know Ashara was sort of unused, but I liked how it was sort of this like pristine ruin and a testament to, you know, this like horrible event that happened. It just was sort of there and like, wow, we'll never do magic again horribly because it just blew up everything. And I don't know, the goblins are really tacky there. And I liked how some of the questing zones were just very exploratory. And now it just feels like you have to go through this one path and like you're the hero of the zone.
That is so funny because I just got done filming. I have a WoW leveling series and the last time I filmed we dinged 58. And I said I'm so excited because questing is linear from here on out. Like, I'm so sick of like searching for the next place to go and like I think I'm just spoiled, like, because, you know, I haven't...
Yeah.
It's just...
I just think that some zones were prettier. Like, they just had more trees. Maybe, like, you know, when they had to make them accessible for flying, they had to simplify some things. But, you know, I do think some things are prettier, especially, like, Ashenvale. The center of that is just this, like, gigantic, fiery crater. And it's just like... Man, can we have the nice hill back with the ruins and the flowers and the trees and have it be relaxing? Or like Menethil, it's like, why is that sunk right now? Like, can that, you know, we saved the flood, can we see the aftermath of the flood finally? It just, I don't know, it's sort of just like stressful seeing old zones and
that's part of the
sort
reason,
of in this permanent state of disarray.
That's part of the reason I would be really excited if they added some sort of adventure mode in, because it could be a reason to go back to those old zones that you liked.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to another one of my friends in World of Warcraft about, like, things that we wished were in the game and stuff, and I thought he had a really great idea that, like, every expansion they could leave raids at their original level and then have, like, another version that would make it max level. And
that would be cool.
So that you could, like, choose what raids you want to do, because the way it goes right now is that everybody's if you are in current content, you have one raid, and they're doing that same... Right. They're doing that same formula in S expansion, but like during, say, Wrath of the Lich King, you every week would do Ulduar and Vault of Archivon, and maybe you still needed, you know what I mean? Like there was a lot.
You were meant to do like Ulduar and then like TOC like 10 at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've lost a little bit of that like choice in raiding, and a way to bring that back without having to remake all this brand new content and create all this brand new content is just give rewards from old raids at a max level, even if they don't necessarily give you...
reverse time walking.
Yeah, like reverse time walking. And it would be kind of cool because maybe they wouldn't drop, like, say, loot, but maybe it would drop tokens that would give you a similar eye level of loot. You know what I mean? Like a leg piece or whatever. Just because that would give guilds, you know, because you get really burnt out doing one raid.
Like, I mean, thinking about artifacts, how they're like, oh, all these activities will give you artifact power. Like, wouldn't it be cool if it's like, oh, you know, I did this raid and it gave me artifact power for my weapon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of things you could do with that would, it would just, because I feel like a lot of burnout, we've seen a lot of that lately with different guilds, and like just even like on a personal level, you see people that are just burnt out, and it's because they're doing one raid and that's it, and there's no real options, and dungeons aren't super relevant this expansion, so they're not really doing anything. They're logging on and raiding, and that's like kind of all they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just one raid. I also feel
like there's a lot of past content. So, and people, like, new players don't really know about it, have a reason to do it. Yeah. So, just be like, hey, if you are tired of this one raid, there's so many other raids. If you're thinking that dungeons are boring, there's actually, like, dozens of dungeons, and they're all really cool and unique. Like, you don't want Blizzard to spend all this time developing something that's just going to be obsolete in 3 months. Like, that's really sad. Yeah. If they're delaying it to, make it better, and then it's like, oh, well, it's going to have a really short today,
Yeah, and it's like that could be something that they could do, just kind of like scale all the difficulty up and then have max level rewards. And I'm not saying to add a whole new set of loot, just stick the current loot into those raids so that you have more options of how to get it.
Yeah, like maybe you could get a bag and something could be in it, or, throw in some more cosmetic things. I mean, I guess there's raiding with leashes, and you don't want a repeat of time walking where people are, like, flipping out about a mount costing 5,000 tokens, but, you could add some things in the max level version that would make it worth doing versus just...
Yeah, it would be more so, if for nothing else, it would just be to give people more options so that they wouldn't feel so burnt out. Like, High Mall in particular was like, if I see one more ogre, I'm going to pluck my eyes out. Like, I can't deal with it.
And they try to have, like, High Mall and Foundry be in the same patch, even though Foundry was like it came out around
but
6.
Nobody
1.
did them at the same time.
Yeah, like no one was like, oh, I'll choose between ogres and orcs. They were just like, oh my god, BlackRock has a better loot. I'm done.
Significantly better out of the next
like you
raid.
had the tier loot. I mean, you had like tier loot from there. You had more options. Like in High Mall, there was just pretty much like one item for your slot, and I was like, well, that's sort of boring, and I don't like this secondary stat. But so now it's like, then it was like, oh, Foundry's boring. Let's move on to, Hellfire Citadel. So,
yeah. It would almost be neat if all the loot that dropped was a token, and then after the raid you went to a vendor and you could pick out... I really hate when you get a piece of loot and it's an eye level upgrade, but it's got like versatility on it, and you're just like, I don't even want this, but I should take it, but I don't want it. It would be kind of cool if like that would be the way, since we don't really customize our talent trees and we don't really customize even like rotations, like so much of the game is not like personal to what you would want. It would be kind of cool if rather than dropping like, here's a pair of pants and you see the same pair of boots or the same pair of pants get DE'd every week, if it was just like a male caster token, and then after the raid you took in, you could turn in that token for, it would either have spirit on it or intellect or whatever you wanted.
Going back to Diablo, I have an even weirder idea.
Ooh.
Like, what if you just got a token? I'm just thinking of Kaldala. Like, what happens if you just got like a bunch of these generic token currencies and you turn them into someone and she's like,
oh, and then it's randomized like Diablo.
Yeah, so like you could kind of get like a male one, but you would just keep getting a lot, and that way you'd be like, well, something has to be an upgrade here.
Yeah, and it would be like you might get a lot of crappy loot that you could DE, especially with that new obliteration-atron thing that they're adding.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was at a Dragon Con, so
maybe. All Dragon Con info is like, we're going to call that Dragon Salt. Take it with a grain of Dragon Salt, because we have no idea. But I just think there's a lot of things they could do to make a lot of things much more relevant in the game. And just, I don't want to say like fun, because it's not that I obviously play a lot of WoW. I have fun, but it would be neat to, like you said, maybe just you would go through these and get the items, and then you'd turn them in and hope for luck in that way, and it wouldn't be like fighting with your loot is such a weird thing in game, because everybody wants loot, but then like it can cause so many issues, and then there's loot council, and you want to make sure you're doing things for success, but then in the same sense,
and like you don't want people focusing on loot at the expense of, you don't want people to say, oh, we didn't kill this boss because my eye level was low. You want it to be like, oh, well, yeah, you could beast it down if your eye level was much higher, but if you just like stood out at the fire, then the encounter, like, you wouldn't die. So you don't want people just obsessing or being like, oh, like I remember in Myst people were obsessing about 300 stat food, and it's like, no, like, read up on the fights instead of just like farming all these ingredients. Like people just, I feel like people just prioritize, things that have stats when that's not the most important thing to be always thinking about. Yeah, and I think that if loot was, and obviously there's some fun in rolling, but maybe if you were rolling for something a little more generic,
it wouldn't feel so like, it's so heartbreaking when you lose a roll on something that's best in slot, or if someone
someone coins an item they already have, or they coin the
rolls
item that someone
first
needs
and then coins.
Yeah.
Oh god, it drives me nuts. And you're like, don't do that. Like, if you need it, coin first. Like, I master loot for my guild, and like the first words out of my mouth on any loot counseled item is, if you need this loot counseled item, use your coin now. Because like, I don't want to give it to you and then have you not use your coin and like hoard coins. You can only have 10 coins anyways. Use them or lose them, okay? So, we got really rambly there for a second, so we'll tie it up, but wrap it up. But thank you so much to everybody who watched us. We really appreciate it. We know we were late this week, but we will be on time next week, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's 3 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv rather, /Wowhead. And then we always upload the VOD the next day at youtube.com/Wowhead. And it always goes up on the Wowhead main front page. Front page of the World of Warcraft internet. And we will see you guys next week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Good luck if you are doing your bonus Battleground event, or if you're trying to get that Dark Moon Seesaw, and congratulations to the winner of the virtual ticket.
Yeah.
We will see you guys next week. Have a great day and weekend and all of those things. Goodbye.